Right, so episode 2 of the getting this shitbox back on the road. We've got a new silver top motor that Harry picked up last week, ready to go in this, but we still have to get this old motor out. So first of all, the silver top is a NA, so we're gonna have to make all the turbo stuff fit to that motor first. So we've still got to do quite a bit of work before we can fit that motor into the GU. So let's get into it.
Proudly supported by Superior Engineering, iTech World, and in part by...
Right, well firstly we're going to be draining the oil out of this motor so we can take the sump off and get the oil drain all fitted up. Level. Right, I've drained the oil, so now we're going to take the sump off so we can get the fitting in to allow the turbo to drain out. Go down more. Yep. Now there's definitely a couple of different ways to do this drain, but for us at the moment the easiest way and the cheapest way is to just steal this fitting straight out of the block and weld it into our sump. Just like that. Big steel fitting. Right, the oil pan is nice and clean and ready to get a barb fitted into it. So how I'm going to be doing this is using the factory steel barb. I'm going to be step drilling a hole in it. Now, the step drill won't actually allow this fitting to go right through into the sump, which is actually a good thing in this situation because I don't have much clearance from the barb to the side of the motor here. It doesn't really need to be crazy strong. It just needs to flow the oil back out of the turbo into the sump. Right, that is now fully welded and cooled off. So how I'm going to check it is by spraying soapy water on this side. Then I'm going to blow compressed air through the other side and see if any air comes through. Can't see any leaks on that, which is great. I'm going to go degrease this one more time and then I might run some sealant around this weld just in case, because it is a pain if we have to take this off again. Right, that is the sump all washed out and done. You can see that fitting welded on quite nicely. I did also weld the inside of that just to make sure that there was no leaks, but I've just washed that out. I'm going to let that dry, and I think what we're going to do is get back on to pulling this old engine out. Now where we're at with that is we basically have to disconnect the aircon. I've checked that there's actually no gas in it, which works out in our favor. So disconnect the aircon lines, power steering. We've done the wiring harness. Harry's underneath there at the moment, disconnecting the starter motor. Then it's basically just bell housing bolts and the engine mounts, and then we can pull this thing out of here.
So that's the sump. So that's the sump gasket all sealed up. We're going to put the motor down now so we can use the crane and pull the other engine out. So we let the air out of the tyres, so the diff's really close to the ground, so it's really hard to get the crane under there, so see what we can do.
Right, it's time to finally pull this old motor out. Let's see if she works. We've got the seatbelt on it again. Crazy how strong a seatbelt is though. So we've got to separate the motor from the gearbox, which sometimes takes some time. So we'll put you on a time lapse and get this old donk out of this car. motor is out. We've got a big void for a new motor. And one thing we want to do, we weren't sure if this was going to be real actually, but they did tell us that this had a new clutch in it. And obviously that is a new clutch. It's an Exceedy. You can see it just down there on the stamp. It's also got a freshly machined flywheel. You can still see the scratch marks in it. So that thing was not fitted too long ago. So we are going to swap that one out.
They didn't lie about something.
I was actually going to swap all the turbo stuff over while this motor is on the ground here, but we are slowly, actually very quickly, running out of daylight. So I think what we'll do is get this motor in tonight, and then I can tinker with it tomorrow because Harry does have to work tomorrow. So if we can get this in tonight, that'd be great. It's about 5 o'clock now, so that only gives us pretty much an hour of light. We should be able to do it, just. Take this old trash one off and see what the spigot bush is like, because they are a little bit of a pain to get out. Oh, she's cooked, that one. Oh, there's your spigot there. It's not too bad. I mean, it's not cooked, but it's just old. It's sitting for a very long time. Alright, let's get this flywheel off. Right next to the other one. Just collecting them. Well, that spigot goes in there. It feels pretty good. Right, I've just hit a snag. This flywheel is actually different. You see that? I don't know if you guys can see, but none of those bolt holes are lining up when you've got the little dowel in. And you can even see it's off. Didn't realise, but these are different. It actually kind of makes sense because the factory turbo motor has a bigger crank nut. So it does kind of make sense that the back would be different as well. Must be a bigger crank, front and rear. Like this section here must be bigger. Actually, you can see it's bigger from here, can't you? This is the new clutch on the old flywheel. So that will actually work. We can either clean the face of that real quick with some stuff, or we take mine and run that, and then I'll have to get that one machined. I don't know. Let's clean that one up and see what it looks like, because this one does have hot spots on it. Right, the only thing I've got is not the right thing. And fit it with a bit of she'll be right, mate. Alright, freshly machined flywheel. Not bad. I haven't cleaned up where it doesn't meet, but I cleaned up where the clutch bolts to, and obviously where the clutch plate runs, because this is your clutch plate here, and that runs like that. So, nice clean surface for it to grip onto. Should be alright. That's the clutch all torqued up, and the freshly machined flywheel is buttoned away. So we're going to try and battle the sunlight and at least get this sitting in there tonight. Because one thing I'm not sure is if it's even going to fit in there. So at least I'll know. If it doesn't fit, we'll just wait until tomorrow. But if we can get it in there and get the engine over that bull bar, then I can just finish it off tomorrow. So let's go. It's 7:30 at night. We've spent the whole night putting this in, but finally in. We're going to take the crane away. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back at it. All right, good morning. It is now the next day, and I'm actually on a little bit of a side mission. Now, if you guys remember, I did have wheels and tyres on Ron Burgundy, but I did steal them and then put them on the GU. I have since ordered a new set of wheels from ATI, but I didn't have a set of tyres, so I'm actually on my way to Total Tyres and Auto to pick up a set of awesome looking 35s. I can't wait to get these on. So I'm actually in the Triton. I'm going to go meet Lockie at the workshop, pick these tyres up, and then we can head back to the house and get cracking back onto Harry's car. I've just picked up the tyres. You can see them on the back of the Tridos there. They look absolutely insane. So it's time to head back to the house and unload these. Then we can keep going with Harry's motor. God, these are so friggin' nice. Right, I'm back in the shed now, guys, and I've just unloaded the tyres and pulled them into here. These things are so friggin' nice. Have a look at these big dog 35 Kenders. Now these are the triple threat sidewalls. They're super tough. As you can see, very aggressive tread pattern on them. So we're not gonna be getting stuck with these tyres on, put it that way. I've just sat this one down here and holy crap. We could run the red lettering. We could also flip it around to the black side, but geez, they are gonna look so good on this car. Now, if you're in the Caboolture area, Total Tyres and Auto do all sorts of different tyres from normal cars, four-wheel drives, right through to the heavy equipment. So definitely check them out if you are chasing a set of tyres. The guys there are super nice. Huge thank you to Lockie and Aaron. Now, I can't wait to get these fitted up, but we still gotta get Harry's motor sorted first, so let's crack on with that. So last night it was getting really late, but we did manage to get the motor sitting in. There's only a few bolts in the bell housing, but we got it all pressed up nice and tight. So there is still quite a bit of plumbing work and wiring and whatnot to get sorted because we've still got the old harness on this motor. We probably should have taken it off before we put it in, but we were trying to rush just to get the motor in for today. So I've still got some bell housing bolts, obviously the wiring, fuel setup, and then once we get all that done, I'm going to go ahead and start putting the turbo back on and getting our turbo plumbed up to the oil drain, and also have to go into one of the fittings on the side of the block there for the oil pressure. Also the power steering, starter motor, all that sort of stuff needs to be hooked up. Then we can get the radiator in. Then I can finally try and start this thing, which is kind of nerve-wracking but also exciting. I can't wait to be able to clean my backyard up and get this thing out of here. Now, because that motor had cracked pistons on every single cylinder as well as a cracked head on every cylinder, I'm assuming that that fuel pump is bad. So that's why we're going to keep the 10 mil on this for now. But obviously the turbo setup won't be tuned to the pump at all. It's something that Harry will have to get done at another time, or possibly we'll do some cowboy tuning next week. But the main goal for today is to just get this thing running and driving. So it's about 11 o'clock now. Harry should be here at about 2 o'clock. So I've got a good 3 hours of work ahead of me. I'm going to try and power through this, get as much done as I can so that when Harry gets here, we can do fluids, radiator, and then try and start this thing. Slowly noticing that there is quite a big difference between the naturally aspirated and the turbo. One of the big things is this throttle bracket. I can't get the throttle cable to actuate this properly using the other bracket, so I'm flogging some stuff to make it work. All right, this is a bracket. Oh, it's got a bit of wire on it. Side cutters, please. Right, this is the two brackets here. So this is the one that we've just pulled off, and this is the one off the turbo. You can see the hole is much bigger, and that wasn't allowing this throttle cable in here. It was actually holding it on about half throttle. So little things like that. We also found that the aircon compressors are different. The brackets, well, actually, I don't know if the aircon compressor is different, but at least the bracket is different. There's a few other little bits and pieces, some wiring. I've actually had to strip some of the wiring out and cut the other plugs off. So we're gonna have to join those two together, and same with the cam sensor, I believe it is, over here. I've had to cut them off as well. Oil pressure sensor's been changed. There's heaps of differences actually between turbo and non-turbo. It's crazy. All right, that should fit into there now and tighten up. Is it hitting the other stop?
Yeah, it's hitting both stops.
Yeah, perfect.
So with the exhaust manifold, someone's put gasket shit all over it, so I'm going to clean it all up and then get it ready to go in the motor.
while Harry's doing the turbo, I'm going to start tightening. While Harry's cleaned up that manifold, I'm going to go ahead and start tightening up all the wires. Right, I just went out and picked up this fitting here from a hydraulic shop, and that is going to be our turbo line fitting, which goes just above this engine mount. Right, that's the turbo feed line. Right, we need to find some oil drain hose. I'm really hoping I've got something that's going to work in here. It's not exactly right, but we might be able to make it work. The turbo is all plumbed up now, besides obviously the actual pipe work, but we've got oil feed and drain complete. Now we are running out of daylight, so we're not going to put any of the accessories on. What we're going to do is get this thing some oil in it and see if she fires up. We'll have to prime all the diesel and just make sure everything's sort of tightened up. We'll make sure we've got oil pressure at the turbo, and then once we've got oil pressure at the turbo, we can go ahead and get this thing running.
I'm really nervous. The motor hasn't even ran in 3 years, and between two monkeys putting it together, let's see what happens.
Stop, man. Ah! You do it then. All right, everything is just about ready to go. The only thing that I want to do is, as we're cranking it, I'm going to disconnect the turbo line there and just wait for oil to come out, because we don't have any other oil pressure gauge. First I'm hearing of this, so yes, that's what we're doing. And the other thing I want to test is with the test light that the ignition is turning the fuel solenoid on and off, just in case we start it up and then we can't turn it off.
Of course.
Because we've got no radiator, which means what?
No cool.
But yeah, I think everything is right to go. Like, obviously there's a million things that we could probably check, but I think we should just send it. We're running out of daylight, so Harry, you jump in the car. I'm going to jump onto the test light first, make sure that fuel solenoid is working as it should. No, that's it, see? And then turn off. Yeah, so that's fuel solenoid working. Stop. Right, go again. That lift pump's bleeding all the air out. Got no oil yet. So she definitely fired up for a second there, didn't she, Harry?
She sure did.
The one thing that is just a little concerning is see how I've got the actual turbo lines off now. I don't get any oil out of there, which means that she's not building up oil pressure just yet. But I didn't think she would start because I thought it would have air in it, but I forgot this has a lift pump. So it's pushing diesel right up to the injectors, which is good, but also bad because I don't really want it to start. So I might just disconnect the solenoid and then you can just keep cranking it. Got oil pressure. Ew! I was worried for a second there, it took a while. We finally managed to build up some oil pressure. I was getting a little bit worried because it did take a while. So what we're going to do now is run it and just see how she runs. Things we have to check is like the clutch, that it's disengaging and engaging. So we'll try and back it out and in, listen to noises, all that sort of stuff. What Harry's going to do is look for the oil pressure light because it is wired up. So if it doesn't build oil pressure, the light will stay on. So you've got to watch that. Yeah, for the second it started up there, it sounded really friggin' nice. So let's get it going, Harry. What was that? I'll bleed the injectors. a bit of like a, I wouldn't call it knocking, but it's kind of like a thumping sound coming from the motor. I don't really know what it is, but I think it could be the water pump because obviously everything's been sitting for so long. It's probably dry in there. So I'm going to stick the garden hose in there while we run it and see if we can get a better result. Alright, well we can't figure out the noise at the moment, but we're going to call it here. It's running and driving.
Yeah. Doesn't sound very good, but
Just, yeah, that noise. If it wasn't for that noise, it would sound perfect. But anyway, that's bloody cars for you.
we'll figure it out. We'll just get another TV and put it in.
Third time's a charm. But anyway, we'll be back at it next week. We'll do a few more checks, change a few things, and hopefully that motor's a runner, because I do not want to pull that out again. Anything to say?
See you on the next episode.
Hooroo. And cheers for cheers for watching. Catch you later.